After the divorce, I headed into the deep heart of Appalachia, burying myself in volunteer disaster relief work. 2 years slipped by in the blink of an eye. It wasn't until our daughter was diagnosed with severe aplastic anemia, her life hanging by a thread that only a bone marrow transplant from me could strengthen, that my ex-wife remembered I existed. She brought a phalanx of bodyguards to the mountains, scouring the area for me. When she couldn't find a trace, she assumed I was hiding on purpose. As long as you agree to the donation, she declared to the empty air, I'll allow you visitation rights. However, the townsfolk in the hollow told her the truth. I was long gone from this world. She frowned, a look of pure impatience crossing her flawless features. I can't believe that after all these years, he's still playing these childish games. In the end, she dug 3 feet into the earth, but all she turned up were my bleached bones. You're telling me he was buried in a landslide trying to save someone? Victoria Sterling stood there in a silk dress that cost more than most people here made in a decade, her heels sinking into the mud of the impoverished mining town. She looked utterly out of place, her beautiful face twisted in disgust and mockery. If he's going to lie to me, he should at least come up with a decent excuse. A man as selfish as Caleb Stone, discovering a conscience? Please. She scoffed. Did his friends back in here tip him off? Did he find out Lily was sick and decide to hide because he didn't want to donate? Is that why you hillbillies are putting on this show? The locals, hearing Victoria's venom, clenched their fists, faces reddening with anger. Don't you dare speak ill of Mr. Stone. He was the best volunteer we ever had. That's right. You keep running that mouth, and we won't be polite. Folks, please, this is Mr. Stone's wife. Calm down, everyone calm down. The town administrator, Old Man Miller, rushed out to soothe the crowd before turning to Victoria. Since you're so desperate to see Mr. Stone, I'll take you to where he lived. Victoria wore an expression that said, I knew it. Miller led her to a dilapidated shack perched precariously on the mountainside at the edge of town. It was a wretched little place. The wooden door hung crooked on its hinges, secured only by a rusting padlock. This is where Mr. Stone stayed. He pushed the door open. My black and white memorial portrait sat in the center of an old wooden table. Seeing it, Victoria's pupils contracted sharply, and then she let out a cold, sharp laugh. She grabbed the framed photo and smashed it onto the floor without hesitation. The glass shattered against the uneven floorboards, kicking up dust and sending shards skittering across the room. Miller stood frozen, mouth agape. Floating in the air above them, I was just as panicked. I knew she resented me. After all, given what I had supposedly done, her hate was merely the shadow of the love she once bore me. But I never imagined she would treat my memory with such cruelty. Victoria was still raging. To avoid saving his own daughter, you people really went all out. How much did he pay you? To set up a shrine like he's actually dead? It's sick. She grabbed a cup of water from the table and splashed it over the ruined photo, then stomped her expensive heels onto the picture and the muddy floor, grinding them into the dirt. Do you think I'm an idiot? Look around. This place has signs of life. She pointed. If Caleb is really dead, then whose half-eaten cornbread is that on the table? Daddy. Before she could finish, a skinny little girl with a woven basket on her back ran in, gasping for air, and shoved Victoria aside. Seeing the memorial photo of her beloved father desecrated, the girl burst into tears. Bad lady, you're a villain. Who said you could break my daddy's things? You get out. My house doesn't welcome you. Victoria stared at the child, her face darkening, her composure cracking. She bit her lip. Caleb Stone is your father. Miller quickly pulled the girl behind him. Hazel is an orphan from the valley. Mr. Stone felt sorry for her and took her in. Please, don't hold it against the child. Hold it against her. Victoria grabbed the 60-year-old administrator by the collar, her voice trembling with fury, her eyes suddenly rimmed with red. He abandoned our daughter. He indirectly killed our unborn child. And yet he's here playing father to someone else's kid? How dare he? Fina, great. You tell him this. Lily's surgery is in 1 week. If he has a shred of humanity left, he will show his face. And if he keeps playing dead, don't blame me if I tear this shack down and leave his little stray homeless. Under Miller's terrified gaze, she added coldly, and even if Caleb is actually dead, I don't mind digging up his corpse to extract the marrow. Do you understand me? Miller looked at her like she was a monster, hugging Hazel tight, lips trembling, unable to speak. Just then, Victoria's phone rang, a special ringtone assigned to a specific person. Her ferocious expression softened instantly. Before leaving, she glanced at the little girl, her voice icy. Pass my message along, word for word. I'll be waiting. Watching her storm away, anger radiating from her back. I felt like a sledgehammer had slammed into my chest. I watched Hazel crying as she picked up the pieces of my photo, hugging the broken frame to her chest, sobbing as if her heart would break. I wasn't hiding from her. I wanted desperately to save our daughter. But I really was no longer of this world. My soul had somehow tethered itself to Victoria. Leaving the land, I had guarded to follow her. After leaving the town, she didn't stop crying, though she hid her eyes behind dark sunglasses. Only I could see her hands gripping her thighs, nails digging in, trying to suppress the rage she felt toward me. Bastard, daring to use death to trick me. You haven't changed a bit. She dialed my number frantically, but the disconnected tone only drove her closer to madness. Don't let me see you again, Caleb Stone. When her private jet landed in New York, a tall, handsome figure was waiting at the gate with flowers. It was a silhouette I knew all too well, Julian Thorne, Victoria's childhood friend. As soon as they met, Julian asked eagerly, "Did you find Caleb? Is he willing to donate to Lily?" Victoria composed herself. He's as selfish as ever. Probably heard wind of it and went into hiding before I even arrived. He even set up a fake memorial. Didn't care if it was bad luck. Julian's eyes flickered. He tested the waters. What if it's true? What if Caleb really is dead? Impossible. How could he be? He's young and healthy. Victoria denied immediately. And even if he is dead, he's donating that marrow to my daughter. Hearing this, a high-pitched ring screamed in my spiritual ears. I never realized her hatred ran this deep. But now that I was truly gone, would knowing the truth bring her any joy? She drove Julian home. He leaned in, kissing the corner of her mouth, stroking her hair gently. When Lily is better, let's get married. Victoria looked at the man who had stayed by her side through the hardest years. Her eyes lost focus for a moment before she replied, "Okay, I promise. Should we invite Caleb to the wedding?" Victoria's eyes hardened. Of course. He has to come. I was his wife. He wronged me more than anyone. Shouldn't he witness my happiness? Julian pressed his lips together, leaning in for another kiss, but she hugged him instead. Thank you for being there when things were at their worst. Seeing this, my ghostly face went pale. Even in death, the rage didn't fade. I rushed forward, trying to pull them apart. No, Julian can't be with my wife. He's the one who killed our child. He's the one she should hate. If she knew the truth, it would destroy her. But I was just transparent vapor. No matter how I screamed or clawed, it was useless. I was filled with regret and powerlessness. As he got out of the car, Julian asked casually, "What if Caleb still doesn't show up? He adopted a kid. If he doesn't show, don't blame me for going after that girl, Hazel." Victoria's face twisted with resentment again. Funny, isn't it? He killed his own flesh and blood, yet runs off to play daddy to an orphan. I watched the hate in her eyes, heart twisting. The memories of the past suffocated me. Years ago, Victoria loved me with a terrifying intensity. Once, when I was injured saving her and confined to bed rest, she dropped everything, her high-powered career, her meetings, just to hold me, whispering how she couldn't live without me. "Honey, I love you so much. I can't lose you. Next time I'm in danger, don't risk your life like that. You can't be without me, and I certainly can't be without you. Thank God it's just a leg injury, or I don't know what I'd do." I kissed her cheek. "You and our daughter are my world. If it happens again, I'll protect you without hesitation." "You're annoying," she teased, punching my arm lightly before burying her face in my chest. I stroked her 4-month baby bump, feeling nothing but sweetness. That was when Julian volunteered to help, cooking nutritious meals for Victoria and me every day. At first, I was grateful, but soon, things felt wrong. My health deteriorated. Constant headaches, memory loss. A broken leg shouldn't cause that. I got suspicious. One day, I took the leftovers to my friend Dar, Elena Russo, for testing. The food was laced with massive doses of chloramphenicol. Elena called me into her office, sliding a form across the desk. It was a consent form for an abortion. I stared at the paper, paralyzed. Victoria wanted a second child more than anything. If I told her we had to terminate, would she survive it? She would break. "Caleb, what are you thinking? With this dosage, the fetus is guaranteed to have severe defects." Elena snapped. "Be stubborn about other things, fine, but Victoria is 5 months along. The bigger that baby gets, the more danger she and the child are in." I called Victoria dozens of times that day. No answer. Then a text came from Julian. "Caleb, stop calling." I have Victoria's phone. I looked up to see Julian standing there, smirking. I lunged at him. "I'm calling the police. You go to jail." "Oh," Julian sneered. "What crime did I commit? Where's the proof of harm?" "Besides," he whispered, Even if I go in, I'll be out soon. Your daughter, Lily, really likes me. When I get out and pick her up from school, do you think she'll come with me? Caleb, do you think your little girl is tough enough to survive that? He was using my living daughter to threaten me. I was consumed by rage, but I folded. I knew I couldn't gamble with a lunatic. That was the first time in my life I felt truly impotent. And Victoria's condition was critical. Elena said delaying meant risking her life. Helpless, I slipped sleeping pills into Victoria's drink. The surgery was that afternoon. My hands shook as I signed the papers, giving up our child. From finding out about the baby to losing it took only 5 months. When they wheeled Victoria out, she was groggy, her eyes full of pain and confusion. Pale as a sheet, she whispered, "Where's the baby?" Her hand drifted to her flat stomach. "You killed our child." "What?" I opened my mouth to explain, but over her shoulder, I saw Julian watching me with a cold, predatory stare. Under the threat, I choked out, "The fetus had severe defects. We had to terminate." In that moment, the composed CEO snapped. "Caleb, how could there be defects? I went to every checkup. She was fine. Who are you to make that decision? Was she only your child? How could you do this to me?" From then on, love vanished from her eyes, replaced by pure loathing. No matter how I tried to explain Julian's scheme later, she responded with cold laughter, a slap to the face, or simply ignored me, dragging her suitcase to live at her office. Our marriage crumbled. Back in the present, after Julian left the car, Victoria frowned, lost in thought. Finally, she made a call. "Investigate where Caleb Stone has been these past few years. Find him, now." I looked at her gaunt face and felt a bitter pang. She would find nothing, because my body was already rotting in the earth. The next morning, Julian called. "Heard you're looking for Caleb." I asked around. No exact location, but DR. Russo seems to know something. Hearing Elena's name, Victoria's eyes went dark. I never understood why she turned on Elena, once her best friend. Victoria drove straight to the hospital and kicked open the door to the consultation room. "Where are you hiding Caleb?" she roared. Elena didn't flinch, continuing to type patient notes. Victoria stormed over, grabbing Elena by the lapels. "Speak, you shameless pair." Elena stood abruptly and slapped Victoria hard across the face. "Shameless? Victoria, do you hear yourself?" Victoria fell back, shocked, glaring at Elena. Elena's face was frosty, masking deep pain. "Caleb is dead. Please show some respect for the husband you once loved." Victoria didn't believe it. To her, this was all an act to avoid the donation. "How could he be dead? He killed our child for you and blamed Julian. It's absurd. If my daughter wasn't dying, I'd rather die than ask him for anything." Elena glared at her, voice trembling. "Victoria, there was never anything between us. And Caleb died 2 years ago. People called you. You didn't answer a single call. He was an orphan. The police finally called me to handle his remains. Do you know how he died? A landslide, buried under tons of rock. By the time they found him, the wildlife had already gotten to him. I still have nightmares about what I saw. Victoria is native. You've learned to lie, just like him. If he wants to die, he can do it after he gives my daughter his marrow. I hate him enough to wish him shattered to pieces." "You are impossible." Elena, shaking with rage, grabbed her phone and marched toward Victoria. "You don't believe me? Fine. Look at the evidence." She pulled up a video from 2 years ago and shoved the screen in Victoria's face. "Look closely. Can't you recognize the man you were married to for 7 years? Victoria's face went gray. She grabbed the phone. The video was gruesome. A body half buried in mud and shale, surrounded by devastation. The flesh was torn by scavengers, organs exposed, half the face missing, revealing a horrifying cavity. Her finger twitched, because the remaining half of that face belonged to the man she had loved for 7 years and hated for 2, the face she knew better than her own. Victoria froze, turning into a statue. Elena punched her in the shoulder. "See that? He died saving Hazel, a little girl picking mushrooms to sell for food." Thud! The blow sent a trickle of blood from the corner of Victoria's mouth. She mumbled, "Impossible. Impossible. He's so selfish. How could he die? Why would he save someone?" Elena looked at her shattered friend and scoffed. "I didn't expect to get that call. But since I did, I knew it meant no one else was coming for Caleb Stone." Victoria tried to stand, but collapsed again at Elena's next words. "Tell me, how does a man as good as Caleb end up with no one to claim his body? Why did the police have to call his old friend, a gynecologist?" The questions were like daggers. Victoria began to shake uncontrollably. "Why, Victoria? Why?" "Well, Mrs. Sterling, I've been an orphan since childhood. No parents, no love. After the divorce, I chose to become a rescue volunteer and adopted a sweet girl named Hazel. When the landslide hit, I wasn't afraid. I was just worried that Hazel would be homeless again, worried that no one would come to bury me. Victoria seemed to snap, screaming, "I blamed him because of you too. The affair. He didn't want the baby? He could have told me. Why did he have to kill our child just to be with you?" Affair. Elena laughed in disbelief. "Victoria, you were married for 7 years. 7. How did you deserve him? He loved you so much, and you didn't trust him at all?" Victoria felt suffocated. A terrifying thought bloomed in her mind. Maybe nothing ever happened between Elena and Caleb. Elena looked at her former friend with pure disgust. "Being best friends with you is the stain of my life. Your husband visits the hospital. He signs a consent form for a termination. Instead of asking why, you attack. You abuse. He came to me because he was worried about his wife and child. Is that sordid? Did we ever meet privately? Or is your mind just filled with filth? Victoria, they say a dirty heart sees a dirty world." Victoria buried her face in her hands, collapsing on the floor, stripped of her arrogance. Elena continued, relentless. "By the way, Caleb made me promise not to tell. But as a friend, here's a reality check. It wasn't that Caleb didn't want the baby. It was that he couldn't keep it. Someone spiked his food. You ate it too. You ingested massive amounts of chloramphenicol while pregnant. The baby would have been born a monster." Caleb was in agony. He called you constantly to explain, to talk. He was terrified you'd break. And you, Mrs. Sterling, didn't answer a single call. Victoria's pupil shrank. She exploded. "Impossible. I'm surrounded by people I trust. Who would?" She froze. The answer was obvious. Elena smirked. "Who else? Your right-hand man. Your fiancé, Julian Thorne." Elena opened the door. "Caleb suffered more than you did. He took the blame because he'd rather you hate him than watch you crumble from the truth. I honestly looked down on you. You knew Julian had feelings for you, yet you kept him close. How much did you enjoy being chased? The real killer of your child. Isn't it you?" Elena gestured for her to get out. Victoria stood up like a zombie, walking out step by heavy step. The harsh hospital lights felt like a cage, trapping her in darkness. She remembered the videos Julian sent her. Weird angles, making Caleb and Elena look intimate. Jealousy had been a viper then. She had assumed the worst, that Caleb killed the baby to be with Elena. "Victoria, why are you standing there? Did you find out where Caleb is?" Hearing the familiar voice, Victoria's expression twisted into something complex. "What's wrong? You didn't find him." "I knew it," Julian muttered. "Knew what?" Victoria rasped. "Knew what?" Julian feigned conflict. "You know they were always shady. Elena wouldn't sell him out." Julian didn't say it outright, but he implied the affair again. "He's not here." Victoria walked toward the inpatient ward. "I'm going to see Lily." "I'll come with you," Julian said quickly. Knowing they were seeing Lily, bitterness flooded me. If I failed anyone in this life, it was my daughter. Seeing the small lump in the bed, hair gone from chemo, skeletal, my heart shattered. She looked up, and our eyes met. "Daddy." Julian looked surprised, then performed for Victoria. "Uncle Julian hasn't married Mommy yet. Too early to call me Daddy." Lily didn't even look at him. She stared straight at me. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I realized she could see me. Panic seized me. I was a ghost. If she could see me, did it mean? No. Victoria walked over and rubbed Lily's head. "Why are you crying, sweetie? You didn't cry during chemo." Lily kept her eyes on me. She wiped her tears, sniffled, and said bravely, "Daddy, Lily is a brave girl. Don't leave me." Julian interjected. "Who's leaving you? Kids say the darndest things." I looked at Lily with anguish. "I'm sorry, baby. Daddy can't stay." Victoria discussed the surgery with the staff. "Julian, the surgery is scheduled. Is that okay?" "My marrow is a match," Victoria said flatly, feeding Lily porridge. Julian was shocked. "You're donating to that little brat." "I mean, Lily." She nodded. "As soon as she got sick, I got tested. The surgery will happen on schedule. I won't let anything happen to my daughter." I don't know if Victoria's desperate search for me was to make me atone, or just to see me one last time. When they left, I tried to stay in the room, but an invisible force yanked me out. Lily waved at the empty air, holding back tears. I wanted to hug her, just once. A few days later, Elena, who had cut ties with Victoria, contacted her. They met at a cafe. Elena slammed a USB drive on the table. "You'll need this. Don't flatter yourself. I'm doing this for Caleb and Lily." She walked out. Victoria stared at the drive. After a long silence, she called, "Julian, isn't your birthday coming up? I want to celebrate early. I'm worried about the surgery." "Really?" Julian sounded ecstatic. Victoria looked out at the misty rain. Let's do it the day after tomorrow. October 2 ND. The day I lost my unborn child. I stared at the man, realizing I had underestimated their bond. Or maybe love is just cheap, professed one moment, given to another the next. That night, Victoria rented the entire floor of the Ritz. Rose petals everywhere. A view of the Manhattan skyline. Julian, in a tuxedo, held her arm, beaming. They looked like newlyweds. I watched numbly. Everything she once did for me, she was now doing for him. My heart was so broken it felt anesthetized. Suddenly, the tether loosened. I could leave Victoria. I rushed to the hospital. I needed to be with my daughter. Nothing else mattered. When I arrived, Lily was crying over my photo. Seeing me, she buried her face in the pillow. Lily is brave. I didn't see Daddy, and I didn't cry. She could see me, but it didn't bring me joy. She peeked out, staring intently, afraid I'd vanish. I tried to speak, but she tilted her head, hearing nothing. She could see me, but we couldn't speak. I was racking my brain when Lily pulled a heavy dictionary from her backpack. I used hand gestures to guide her to pages, pointing at words. You are best. Daddy loves you. She read it out in her little voice, then beamed. Daddy, I love you too. Knowing I couldn't talk, she chattered about everything. Then, she whispered conspiratorially. I found out what a real monster is today. Daddy came to see me today. I saw him talking to the doctor. He said something about the house not being renovated, so it's impossible to get aplastic anemia. Then Daddy and the doctor asked me if Uncle Julian gave me anything. I showed them the black rock Uncle Julian said was a gift from you. I kept it with me always. I understood instantly. Lily was healthy, no exposure to chemicals. Why the sudden acute anemia? The rock. Daddy gave me a gift? Lily asked. I nodded. Is it a rock? I shook my head. Daddy said that rock is a monster. He told me never to take things from Uncle Julian. I think Uncle Julian might be a monster too. I was stunned. Victoria knew everything, yet she was dining with Julian. What was her plan? At the Ritz, Julian looked at the feast. Victoria, these are all my favorites. I didn't know you paid such attention. Victoria smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. Eat up. It'll be a night to remember. Luxury, food, the woman he loved. Julian felt like he was dreaming, but soon his head swam. Victoria, why am I so sleepy? Victoria stared at him with unmasked hatred, wiping the table where he'd touched it with a wet nap. Because I added a special ingredient. What ingredient? Like what you did to my husband. Except instead of chloramphenicol, it's sleeping pills. Julian's eyes went wide. He tried to stand but collapsed. Victoria dragged him to the basement of her villa, tying him to a chair. She threw a bucket of ice water on him. Julian woke up screaming. Victoria, I beg you. Murder is a crime. A crime. Victoria Smirkev. You talking about the law is hilarious. Caleb will never forgive you. Victoria said quietly. He's dead. Dead? Who's dead? Victoria grabbed his jaw. Still acting? The call from the police about his body. You took it and blocked the number, didn't you? You knew. Julian, stop pretending. He laughed maniacally. So what? I didn't drive him to that hillbilly town. Crash. Victoria smashed a beer bottle and pointed the jagged glass at him. Why? Killing my baby wasn't enough. You wanted to kill Lily too. Why? Because I love you. Julian screamed. I've been with you since the start. Why couldn't it be me? You knew I liked you, but you just kept me around. Wasn't that permission? He sobbed. You blame me now? I just took some photos. I didn't make you doubt him. And the baby. I wanted to poison him, but you ate the food too. And Lily, Victoria Raspith. She was annoying, crying for her daddy, so I gave her a radioactive mineral sample. Said it was from Caleb. She carried it everywhere. Of course she got sick. Then you wanted to donate marrow. I couldn't let that happen. Best if she died before the surgery. Do you know how much I paid that nurse? 100 grand. But then I ended up here. Victoria turned off the recorder on her phone. The basement door burst open. Police swarmed in. As they dragged Julian away, he screamed, Victoria, you're the real reason they're hurt. How can you face them? Julian was sentenced to life for attempted murder. In prison, rumor had it he went insane. The story was drawing to a close. With me watching over her, Lily entered the operating room. After the transplant, she could no longer see me. Victoria settled Lily, then returned to the Appalachian village. There, she met someone unexpected. Sarah, you're back in the States. Sarah Jenkins looked at her coldly. None of your business. Victoria followed Sarah to the renovated shack. The yard was full of hosta flowers. Sarah sat on the porch, grading papers. You were Caleb's best friend. You know where his ashes are. Sarah looked up. I entrusted my best friend to you. How did you treat him? You have no right to ask. For the first time in her life, Victoria dropped to her knees in the mud. Eyes red, she begged Sarah, please. One last look. Tell me where he is. Sarah didn't soften. Mrs. Sterling, don't kneel. You don't deserve to know. He married you at 22. At 28, you threw him away. Do you have no conscience? Victoria looked empty, as if her soul had been ripped out. She grabbed Sarah's hem. Just one look, please. Sarah ushered Hazel inside. Shoo, bad luck having her here. She pushed Victoria away and slammed the door. Inside, Sarah wept. She hadn't seen her best friend one last time either. To atone, she had quit her high-paying job to take his place as a teacher and adopted Hazel. Victoria, health failing after the donation, stepped down as CEO. She wandered mourning. Finally, she rented a small earthen house in the village, the only place she could sleep. At night, she wrapped herself in her wedding dress, inhaling deeply. Caleb, come to my dreams. Just once. She drifted off, dreaming of our wedding. When asked, do you take this man? She screamed. I do. But in the dream, I just stood there in my suit, smiling awkwardly, separated from her by a veil that never lifted. She woke up drenched in tears. Sarah found her again. You know why I despise you? Victoria looked up. You're a hypocrite. You say you love Caleb, but you abandoned him over rumors. You act the martyr now, but who is it for? Yourself. You say you love your child, but Lily just got out of the hospital. Who is taking care of her? That's Caleb's treasure. Sarah's voice broke. You only love yourself. Victoria stood there, taking the abuse. Every word was a knife. Finally, defeated, she packed her bags and left the mountains. She returned to Lily. She sold the company, donating millions to leukemia research and rural education. She found a quiet job and spent every holiday traveling with Lily. Lily couldn't see me anymore, but I stayed. We saw the Grand Canyon, the oceans. Lily grew up, experiencing friendship, love, and life. In a flash, it was her 18th birthday. Victoria brought Lily back to the village. Your dad volunteered here. He stayed here forever. At sunset, Sarah led Lily to a hillside covered in hosta flowers. They watched the sun dip below the peaks. I felt lighter. The sun shone right through me. Peace settled in. A trembling, spectral little girl walked toward me from the sunset. I took a step forward. I looked back at the two people I loved most. I ran to them, creating a gentle breeze. I hugged them one last time, then took the spectral child's hand and walked toward the light. The wind stirred the flower scent. Aunt Sarah, Lily asked, if you won't tell Mom, will you tell me? Where's my dad? Sarah pulled out a sketchbook. We found this in his things. It says, for Lily's 10th birthday. You're an adult now. It's yours. Lily remembered asking for a gift in the hospital. She hugged the book to her heart. Sarah smiled. Your dad. He loved freedom. He's in the wind, in the rain, and in our hearts. Story complete.